Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos Scandal, and the Whistleblower. Introduction. Elizabeth Holmes was the founder of Theranos. She promised the world and the medical field a revolutionary change at the age of 19. This creation was a revolutionary medical machine that high investors poured a fortune into because they believed that it was going to be the next big thing. She came from Silicon Valley, and she was actually the first self-made female billionaire in the world. What I'm going to be talking about is how she used the fraud triangle to get investors and scheme her way into billions of dollars. How she got caught was the whistleblowers, Tyler Strutz and Erica Chung. Her story also was on Hulu series The Dropout and the HBO documentary The Inventor. Elizabeth Holmes was born in Washington, D.C., 38 years old. She attended Stanford University. She was one of the youngest, like I mentioned before, self-made billionaires of the world. She was also the founder, chair, and CEO of Theranos, and she was inspired by Steve Jobs. Theranos Triangle Fraud. Triangle fraud was created by Donald Cressy. It has three sides to it, which is opportunity, rationalization, motive, slash pressure. Opportunity is the lack or end around the internal controls where senior managers are not watching, so they try their best to fraud their way into making money. Rationalization is when they say that they haven't received it, so they want to raise, or it's a loan and that they'll pay them back. So they're trying to do whatever it takes to get the money from the person. And motive is a personal financial pressure. It's basically addiction. They always want the money to be at hand. So the way that Elizabeth used this was pressure. Elizabeth Holmes pressured many of companies to invest into her company. The reason why is because at the time, a lot of people fell short because they didn't invest into Apple or other companies such as that when they had the time to. So the pressure was on. They felt like if they didn't invest, that they were going to miss out on something. Rationalization was she always mentioned, you don't want to miss out on this revolutionary change. She always mentioned her invention of revolutionary change. And she promised the company will make lots of money if they invest into her now. So she always made it like an immediate situation for people to invest into her company. She also used it as an opportunity. She used her skills and the clout that she had from Stanford University and Silicon Valley to get her business funded from the investors. Backstory. Elizabeth Holmes wasn't the most popular person in school as a child, but she was very smart. She hated getting needles, and that's why she invented this. Holmes comes from wealth. Both of her parents were pretty successful. They had successful careers. Her father was the vice president of Enron, and her mom was a DC political insider. And also her grandfather, her father's father, created Fishman's Yeast, which also created generational wealth for her family. She met a friend and business partner named Sunny Balwani in China. She started her company at the age of 19 when she dropped out of Stanford University, um, and her company name is Theranos. Theranos basically it's funded by and chair CEO Elizabeth Holmes. The president and COO was Sunny Balwani. The goal and the mission of the machine was to detect diseases and cancers easier, faster, and more affordable. In one of her quotes in interviews that she had, she basically said that the machine can detect cancer 17 years before it even forms, just by a speck of blood. So it actually that quote that she said gravitated a lot of people to actually do the investment into her because her invention was to save lives of human beings that don't even know that they have diseases. Um, Her company is a blood company. Basically, it's a lot of engineering, scientifical processes that happens within this company. She created it when she was only 19 years old in the year of 2003. Walgreens was one of her top highest investor. They believed in her very highly. They wanted this invention to work because they believed that this was going to change things. The company's net worth was in the billions, so she wound up getting billions of dollars. Um, Also, about the company was it was not only about the blood, it was also about the simple fact that during Steve Jobs, when he had his Apple company and how he pitched his ideas to a lot of people didn't believe in his vision. And now look at what we're doing now today. Everyone owns an Apple product or is interested in Apple products. They know about it. And so that is one of the main reasons why people invested into Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. She was another reason why. So I'm going to give a list about why people really away by just talking to them. This was a normal thing that they did in Silicon Valley because everybody has an invention, everybody is scientists and have some type of thing that they want to start. So how are they going to get investors and billions of dollars for their companies without having the right pitch? And so she perfected it at a young age. Um, Simply, like I said, because this is the Hunger Games at Silicon Valley. Everybody wants to be the next Bill Gates. They want to be the next Steve Jobs. And she basically had that in her mind that she was the female Steve Jobs, hence, the turtleneck. She also dropped out of college, similar to Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and because her vision came to her right, when she was at Stanford, and she came up with this invention that she knew would work. She thought that it was a brilliant idea. The only thing is, it didn't. And also, another reason why a lot of people invested into her is because, like I stated before, at the time, the companies that we all know today, such as Uber, Lyft, Amazon, and other accessible companies that's like fast on demand on the internet, like Twitter, Facebook, was at the time a lot of people felt like they missed out on it, and so they wanted to invest into the next big thing. Old companies like CVS, Walgreens wanted to jump on the bandwagon as well, and those are the people that she spoke. Kind of like Yahoo and AOL, which didn't invest into Google when they had the opportunity to. Now they're regretting it. So a lot of these investors say that the potential in making money isn't to invest into money, so that's why that situation happened. The problem of why people felt like it was skeptical because people started to feed into this like they're actually getting swindled. They felt like they were gullible investors. She made promises that she couldn't keep. Theranos just wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. And the reason how we found out was because of the whistleblowers. They started to speak up because Elizabeth told them to lie about the test results and told them to like keep quiet. And they had to sign NDAs to really not expose the company. And so when they felt like they were doing wrong in their gut, they knew they had to say something. Whistleblowers, the definitions and the examples is a whistleblower is a person or an organization engaged in an illicit activity. So if an employee reports wrongdoing that is happening, they are the whistleblower. It includes criminal activities such as theft and unethical or unjust behavior in the workplace, also known as a snitch. Whistleblowing is also protected under the state and federal law. The different types of whistleblowers is healthcare fraud, which she did, pharmaceutical fraud, IRS. Who were the whistleblowers? Tyler Schwartz, grandson of George Schwartz. Schwartz was George Schwartz was actually one of the top investors, and he was also the former Secretary of State of the United States of America. So he actually had a lot of clout with his name as well, and he believed so much in Elizabeth. He invited her to his home, to his parties. He bragged about her. He bragged about the Theranos company. But soon as Tyler started to become an employee there, he saw that there was a lot of he just basically saw that there was a lot of scams there. There was a lot of frauds being done because what he learned, and because he was just a graduate from a university as well, he just came from college right into her company because he believed in it, and he found out that his grandfather invested it. So he actually got right in the door working there right after college. So when he started working there, he started seeing that it wasn't matching up. What he was doing wasn't matching up to what Elizabeth was preaching. So he didn't really feel right. So he became a whistleblower. He started telling about the company. He told his grandfather first. Grandfather didn't believe him, and so then he started talking to lawyers and reporters and stuff. The other whistleblower, she worked at Theranos as well. She was a lab tester. She started in 2013. Her job entailed testing patients' blood samples and reporting the results straight to Elizabeth Holmes and basically her team. She was forced to delete and lie about the test results, which made her feel uncomfortable to work there. So she teamed up with other whistleblowers, about 30 more whistleblowers that want to stay anonymous. Some people use their names, but these two are the top whistleblowers that actually told on her, Tyler and Erica. And here's a picture of them. So Elizabeth Holmes was facing maximum of 20 years in prison per charge. She is also fined and required to pay a restitution of $250,000. Holmes was found guilty of 4 of 11 charges of fraud since March of this year, 2022. She got convicted of 4 federal charges and of fraud for exaggerating to the investors. A timeline of her work was she started in 2003. So from 2003 to 2007, the company was founded. They raised $6.9 million, and then in 2007 she made $200 million. From 2010 to 2015, Theranos was making more money. 2013 she announced that it's public. 2013 of September that year, Theranos announced Walgreens a paid partnership, and then in 2014, she exceeded the amount of $9 billion in net worth, her company and herself. In 2015, FDA approved her test results, and then in 2015 of October, they released that they're being under investigation because. So it's the same year, July 2015, they approved her, and then October 2015, they were like, we're going to investigate. So they started investigating a bit more. And that's when things started to turn for her. From 2016 to 2018, Walgreens was suspended. They suspended their stuff with her. They didn't want to deal with her anymore. And then 2017, she actually had settled with CMS, which is a Center for Medicare. And then 2018, she was charged with massive frauds. And her best friend, Bawani / secret boyfriend. They were indicted on 11 counts of fraud and conspiracy. In 2018 to 2022, she was forced to close their Knowles company, and then HBO released a documentary, and Hulu also released a series, and then in March 22, she was convicted of fraud. So right now, Elizabeth is actually waiting for her sentences because her partner, her COO, has to be also waiting out his charges. So basically, we're trying to figure out what he's being charged of and what he's being convicted of, and then she's going to be sentenced in prison. But right now, she's just taking care of her son. She's a married woman. She just had a newborn baby. Well, baby's probably like 1 now, and so she's just home taking care of her family. But the crazy thing is that a couple of months ago, she actually reached out to the same investors. This is, I don't know. So I read up on it, and she basically is being charged for these crimes, but she also asked these investors to invest into money because she's going to start her company all over again. So she still has this mindset that she's not guilty. Oh, she pleaded not guilty, but she's still convicted of these crimes. So my conclusion is she only got away with this for so many years because she was a white woman who went to Stanford and, was around Silicon Valley with her rich friends. Her mother and father came from wealth, so she was also a rich white woman. And so whenever she spoke, people listened to her. And also at the time, like I stated before, a lot of people lost out on not investing to Steve Jobs at the time, so they thought that she was literally the next big thing. And so she also called her invention the iPod of healthcare. And the reason why a lot of people invested into her is because they overlooked her genius, and she had the gift of gab. She knew what to say at the right time, and because these investors were so gullible and greedy for making more money, they just poured right into her. And so even though it's exaggeration of the truth, I don't really feel like she's that guilty because, yeah, she swindled her way into billions of dollars, but at the same time, people invest into everything. So if that's the case, then everybody will be committing fraud. But she committed like a lot of fraud because this is with the medical field, and a lot of lives could have been lost. So that's it. The end.